Hello, Mr. Ramey here. Some of you are going to have trouble with this future price idea. So, in order to understand that, we're going to have to take a step back and explain the difference between quantity supplied and supply one more time. The panel to the left is an example of quantity supplied. What quantity supplied means is when the price goes up, quantity supplied goes up. When the price goes down, quantity supplied goes down. Look at it from the perspective of a firm. If it costs you, say 50 cents to make this product and you can sell it for $1, okay, well, your profit's 50 cents, not bad. You're going to supply 10, hypothetically. If the price goes up to $2, you can sell it for $2. Remember, it still costs you 50 cents to make. Now, all of a sudden, your profit's $1.50. Why would you provide more at a higher price? You see, at $1, you supplied 10. At $2, you supplied 20. Well, you're going to supply more because your profit's more. Okay, remember at $1, your profit was 50 cents per unit. At $2, your profit is $1.50 per unit. Most people are going to try to sell more at a higher profit. This is called quantity supplied. Now, to the right, you'll notice that the price stays the same. At point A, supply is 4,000. And notice I'm saying supply, I'm not saying quantity supplied anymore. Okay? At point B, supply is 6,000. At point C, supply is 2,000. Okay, so let's get the lingo right here. Price changes, quantity supplied. Price stays the same, supply. Okay, very, very important distinction. All right, so what then, if the price is staying the same, what would cause this supply curve to, now hear this, shift from A to B or A to C? Well, we've had a couple of conversations on this, okay? We did talk a little bit about, let's say, technology, all right? Let's say we're starting at point A, and let's just say, since I used the assembly line for the example, at point A, Ford produces 4,000 cars. Well, with the invention of the assembly line, maybe they were able to produce 6,000 cars, even though the price they could sell it for stayed the same. Why? Because the technological advance made it more efficient for them to produce cars. Another way to look at it is like this. Let's just say that with the invention of the computer, is it easier for you to produce your work? You can produce your work a lot quicker than we could with a typewriter, right? So let's just say that you typed papers for somebody, for 20 bucks a paper, okay? Well, if you're, and some kids do this, by the way, they actually type papers for people in college. I know people who did this. So let's just say that you have your little business where you type papers for people and you charge 20 bucks per paper and it takes you an hour. Okay, so at $20 you produce, let's just say 4 per day. Okay, just go with 4,000, 4 per day. But all of a sudden you get a word processor. Ooh, so you went from a typewriter to a word processor. Well, with the word processor, you're going to be able to produce more. Now maybe you'll do 6 a day. Why? Because with a typewriter, you have to use your little whiteout. You have to. It's just very primitive, right? So it takes you longer. With a word processor, you have spell check and so on. And when I say a word processor, wow, that's old terminology, right? But we went from typewriters to word processors to computers. Okay, so in today's world, as you know, it's pretty darn easy. So if you're charging 20 bucks per paper, maybe you do 4 a day back in the days with a typewriter. But today with a word processor or a computer, wow, you can do quite a bit more because it's so much easier, right? You're not wasting paper, you have spell check and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, so now you're producing more. Why? Because the technology made you more efficient. You're probably typing those 6 papers today quicker than you did the 4 papers earlier when you had a typewriter, okay? Technology will shift the curve to the right, okay? So that leads us to now the tough one. Today's lesson, we were talking about future price. Now, many of you are going to say, but Randy, you said when the price changed, it moved along the curve here. So the price went up from $1 to $2, so quantity supplied went up. If the price changes today. There's the distinction. With future price, we are talking about future price. The price today stays the same. So let's take a look at this from a demand side first, because this will make a lot of sense to you if we look at it from the demand side first. You know the price of oil is tanking. I just saw today, U.S. oil that they produce down in Texas is now down to $10 a barrel. That's not good for the producers, right? Okay, but we've seen the price of gasoline drop. Okay, so let's just say with the price of gasoline dropping, and remember we're going to look at the demand side because I want you to understand the human behavior side of this, okay? So if the price of gasoline it's I think $1.75 here in Woodbury, it's $1.55 in Cottage Grove. So let's just say that with the price of gas dropping, you know that next week you can, buy gas at $1.25. Okay, if you're at a quarter of a tank, and you usually fill up your car at a quarter of a tank, right? And you're going to buy gasoline today for $1.75. And you know that you're going to spend therefore, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks to fill up your tank. But if you waited until next Monday or Tuesday to pay $1.25, would you wait? Knowing that the future price is going to be lower, would you buy less gas today? Or if you knew the price of gas was going to go up? If you knew the price of gas would go up tomorrow, would that change your behavior today? And the answer is yes. Most people are going to say, hey, why would I fill up my tank today for 50 bucks when I could fill it up next week for 30 bucks? And most people are going to say, why would I fill up my tank today for 50 bucks? Or I'm sorry, why would I, if I know the price of gas is going to go up next week, I'm going to buy it today, right? So people are going to behave based on expectations. Now, from a seller's perspective, it's the same thing. So pretend you're a seller, okay? And you think that the price of something is going to be different in the future, okay? So $1,000, let's just say that's a TV, okay? Yeah, that's a good one for a TV. Okay, if I'm selling TVs and I know that the future price is going to be higher, here's what I'm going to do. The price today is $1,000, but let's just say I have 10 TVs back in my warehouse. Okay, 10 TVs in my warehouse, and Christmas is coming up, and we know shopping is going to happen, and let's just say that there's a shortage of components coming from all the suppliers who make the Sony and Samsung TVs. So for some reason, maybe there's a labor strike or something over where they make these TVs. So we know that the price of the TV is going to go up to $2,000 next week when all the shortages kick in. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm not going to put any of my TVs out there on the floor. Why? Why would I sell my TV today for $1,000? So my supply should be here at A. But because I know the price of TVs is going to be $2,000 next week, I'm going to pull all those TVs off my shelves and I'm going to put them in the back. Why? So I can sell them next week for $2,000. In other words, my supply curve shifted left because the future price. Okay? I know that's kind of sneaky. All right? But let's go with something a little bit more, not as sneaky, not as evil, if you will. All right? The example I give you in the lesson is, one example is selling a home. I'm getting pretty darn close to retirement. So let's just say that I could sell my house today for, the example in the lesson is $400,000. Okay? So I'm at point A. All right? If I could sell my house today for $400,000, okay. But what if a realtor friend of mine says, hey, Bob, hey, don't sell your house today. You can sell your home next year for $480,000. So I'm going to say, you mean, Reggie, all I have to do is live here for one more year and I can sell it next year for $480,000? Yes. Well, guess what would happen? Even though the price today I could sell my home for stays the same, the fact that I could sell it next year for a higher price means I'm not going to put it up for sale. Okay? That means the supply of homes on the market for people to buy just shifted left. Okay? It just shifted left because fewer people are going to sell their homes if they know they can sell it next year for a higher price. Okay? If we think the price of homes will go down in the future, I'm going to sell it right now. Like if I'm going to retire next year, all right, and I know I could sell my home today for $400,000 or next year for $300,000, I'm going to sell it today. That's going to shift that supply curve to the right. Okay, so future price will matter. One last example on this one, and this one should make sense to most of you. Stocks. Okay, if you owned a bunch of stock and you knew the price was going to tank next week, wouldn't you sell it all today? Right? Wouldn't the supply, therefore, of stock in the market go up? If you sell all your stock today, the supply went up. Okay? So people always make decisions based on future price, and that shifts the curve. If you have questions, let me know.